Hey guys, my name is Chip Phillips. I'm the head coach of the competition here at Deep. This is Eric, your owner. What we're going to do today is we're going to briefly, or try to keep it brief, talk to you about what the workout is, some things that we're recommending for technique, for efficiency, for best practices in general, and then we're going to recommend how you do your warm-up to get the most out of this workout, okay? So to start things off, Eric is going to tell you about the basic flow of the workout.
Yeah, so 17.1, we've got it written up on the board here. If you watched the live announcement, you probably already know the rep scheme, but we're going to go over it real quick. It starts with 10 alternating dumbbell snatches, then goes to 15 burpee box jump overs. It's going to stay at 15 the entire time, but each round is going to increase by 10 on the dumbbell snatches. So it's going to go 20-15, 30-15, 40-15, 50-15. There's also a 20-minute time cap. So you're doing everything, and the clock will eventually save you, but it's going to be a rough one.
That's right. Okay, so this is an awesome workout. People like me and Eric say that about every workout because we like exercise, but this is truly, it really captures the essence of what the open historically is, as far as just the long grind. It's a low barrier to entry, movements that pretty much anyone can do. You're not limited by high-end gymnastics or high-end strength, so it's one that everyone can participate in. Okay, so dumbbell snatch. We classify movements in CrossFit as either a squat or a hinge or a press for the most part. The dumbbell snatch is a hinge, okay? Eric is going to talk to you about some of the best ways to hinge and how not to hinge.
Yeah, so basically you just need to understand that the majority of the reps in this workout, okay, so double the reps of the burpee box jumps are going to be the dumbbell snatches. So you're doing a whole lot of reps, a whole lot of leaning over. So every time you lean over, you're putting more pressure on your back, which means you want to make sure that you're hinging at the hip, but not so far over that you're putting undue stress on the lumbar. All right, so as you inch closer to basically being parallel to the ground, and you might have noticed if you watched the live announcement that some of the athletes this evening, they were getting very close to that tabletop position. That's really going to start lightening up your low back. So one of the things that Chip and I agree on is actually bending maybe a little bit more with the legs than they were. Don't just lean over. Those are big, strong guys. They're games level competitors. They can get away with that kind of stuff. For the majority of us that aren't podium finishers at the games, it's probably smart for us to use a little bit more legs and not overtax our backs.
Absolutely. So backing up a little bit, it's a very evenly distributed workout. What I mean by that is there's 75 of one movement and 150 of the other movement, but the 150 reps, which are the dumbbell snatch, those are a much faster cycling movement. Okay, those are in a vacuum, those are about 2 seconds a piece. As for the burpees, those are about 3 to 4 seconds a piece, so that really evens itself out. So when you take a look at this workout, don't plan on hurrying through one so that you can rest through the other, because they're both weighted very similarly, okay? So the key on workouts like that is you find a zone mentally and physically that you can sustain, and at the end you really increase your rate and sprint home. But you want to use what's called a negative split, where you're starting out at or even below your goal pace and you speed up as you go. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit, but that is not what Patrick Vollmer did, despite doing very well. So, I mean, people will beat that score just as the girls already have. So, back to the technique for the actual movements. We're recommending a muscle snatch, okay? The less jumping that you're doing, whether it be the dumbbell snatches or the burpees, the better. Anytime you do plyometric, it's going to start to spike your heart rate. So Eric is going to demonstrate a muscle snatch here.
I'm going to go out of the frame.
Good. So what you can't see is Eric's doing an excellent job keeping his spine neutral or even slightly extended. What you'd want to avoid is a posterior pelvic tilt or kind of that rounded lower back. That's really going to blow up your back and lead to early fatigue. So think chest out, butt out, think big chest, kind of that a little bit of a sway back, just to make sure that you don't go into flexion, but you want to be at least neutral or slightly extended, okay? Breathing. You're going to be breathing this whole time. You should never be holding your breath. These are both movements that you can breathe through the whole time. Okay, we'll answer more questions about both these movements in person. This is one take, so we know it's not going to be perfect. burpee box jump overs, okay? The best way to do this movement is with your heart rate low. In order to keep your heart rate low, what you're gonna wanna do is practice a step up burpee, okay? So you're stepping up to the box, but when you get on the box, you're not stepping. So I'm gonna explain that a little bit. Instead of jumping your feet up to your hands and then standing up, you're gonna step one foot up at a time, and then you're gonna jump onto the box. Your footwork is very important on the box as well, okay? You're either gonna accumulate a lot of extra time by taking an extra step on the box, or you're gonna jump onto the box, you're gonna stay low, and you're gonna jump right off the box, okay? So again, you're gonna bounce off the ground as quickly as you can, step up with one foot, and that's a skill you need to practice. Jump on the box, stay low on the box, get your breath, jump right off the box, okay? So you're bouncing off the ground, stepping up, staying low in the box, not taking an extra step on the box. Really focusing on breathing and staying off the ground as much as you can, okay? So, anything else you'd like to touch on there?
Yeah, so when Chip's saying stay low, there's quite a wide range of where your hips are going to be in relationship to your knees. And if you're watching the live announcement tonight, you'll notice that one of the athletes almost always landed on the box where they were pretty much almost standing. I mean, they were jumping fairly high. And the height of your hips on top of the box, it really indicates how much force you use to get up there, to jump up there. Whereas Volmer, who won the workout tonight, he used a technique that I would recommend for most people, which is pretty much landing at the bottom of the squat and using that stretch reflex just like you would when you hit the bottom of a back squat, using that stretch reflex to propel you right off the other side of the box. I think that it's going to be probably the best way to handle this. The rest of the workout is not going to really use your quads and your legs as much as you think. It's mainly going to be your back and your shoulders. So the more you can kind of offload something to another muscle group, so you like kind of landing in a squat, using your legs a little bit there. First off, it'll allow you to not have to jump as high, and it'll reduce the amount of time that you're kind of standing and being on top of the box.
Absolutely. A little bit more on that. Work is force times distance. So if you jump onto the box and you stand up, you're moving a greater distance, therefore doing more work and taking more time. As opposed to fully standing up, when you stay low, you're gonna blow up your quads, but if you get to the end of the workout and your body's not hurting and you're not hitting muscle fatigue, you're not doing it right into it. Exactly. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the warm-up, and we're gonna break it down into a couple categories for you. Mashing and activating, and then an actual sport-specific or workout-specific warm-up. So we are gonna keep this relatively simple. If you want to know why we're doing certain things, please ask us and we'll explain it in depth in person, but just trust us for this part.
Yeah.
Okay, mash. Mash your quadratus lumborum. Eric's gonna turn around right here. This is this area right on the outside of his erectors, okay? Get a lacrosse ball in there, raise your knee, roll side to side, get that loose. Your psoas and your TFL, okay? Psoas is essentially your hip flexor. Get a lacrosse ball in there, really warm that up so it doesn't get tired on all the jumping, all the burpees, and it's not limiting you on your hinge, okay? Because if you're too tight through there, you're gonna reach an end range of motion faster on the muscle snatch, and your lower back is going to round, which you don't want. Traps. If you don't mash your traps, we do want you to mash your traps, but if you don't, it's gonna be harder to lock out, it's gonna cause more shoulder fatigue in general, and also you're gonna be in a bad position for the burpees. Hamstrings. You need to have proper range of motion in order to keep your heels on the ground at the bottom of the snatch, and in order for them to properly activate and properly fire, you need to be able to keep them engaged the whole time by keeping your heels on the ground. So we'll show you some PNF stretches and some basic foam rolling as well for those in person. Glutes, that's another hip extensor. You want to roll and mash those out, that way they're firing optimally. After you mash, you're going to go to activation stuff. We're starting from the top down for this, okay? This is kind of an overlooked part of the movement because you just assume that it's going to be easy and they made it look easy. But from here to here is an immense amount of external rotation. So we want everyone to do the iron scap crossover symmetry, or grab one of the lighter bands, pin your elbow to the side, do basic external rotation, or grab a very light dumbbell or a 2 to 5 pound plate, lie on your side, and externally rotate that way, okay? Also, hip extensors for strength and power. What that means is you want to warm up pulling from the floor just as you will be on the dumbbell snatch, but you also want to warm up extending your hips to jump. So practice low box jumps and work your way up to the actual box height, as well as do some good morning, some RDL, some basic deadlifts to warm up your entire posterior chain for the strength portion of the dumbbell snatch. Okay, when you're done with the mashing and activation, what you're gonna do, we have a very cool thing here for you guys. It looks very simple, but it's gonna really help you with pacing, okay? The difference between finishing what's the best in the world right now and not even finishing at all is finishing 3.17 seconds per rep, which is what Patrick did, or 5.33 seconds per rep, which is the time cap, okay? So it's like 2 seconds, okay? If you're resting 2 seconds per rep, you're not gonna finish, okay? So pacing is super important, whether you're trying to prevent a drop off at the end or if you're just trying to sustain a pace throughout the workout. What we want you to do is you're gonna do 3 sets of 6 dumbbell snatch and 4 burpee box jump overs, and I want you to time it every time, okay? Rest 30 seconds, repeat the same thing. Rest 30 seconds, repeat the same thing. Figure out your goal pace, or figure out your goal for the workout, work backwards, figure out the seconds per rep, and then match up this with the actual workout. Let us know if you have any questions. There will be much more information that we're able to share with you as we learn empirically by watching our test subjects or our athletes. So please come up to us and ask for further assistance.
We look forward to seeing how everyone does, and we'll see you tomorrow night on Friday Night Lights.